Good afternoon. It is February 23rd, 2026. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by Will Alimonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are you doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? What a weekend. Start playing Freebird. We did it. We went against Canada, both the men and the women, and we said, oh, this is your favorite sport? This is what you guys love the best? And we just took it from them. We just went out there and we took it from them. The comparison is, you know, if a Canadian football team somehow got an opportunity to go against us and won the Super Bowl. Didn't win a game, they won the Super Bowl. It'd be like, all of a sudden, was it McGill is like their big college, came in and beat one of our blue bloods in the tournament. There's no way. No way it's going to happen. You can think about it. It'd be like, you know, maybe, a team in Europe. It'd be like the French got together and had like an awesome basketball team and beat us in the Olympics. All right, maybe that was a bad example. But no, both times, going in, third period, the women, it was trouble. It was trouble. It was Thursday afternoon. It's like, don't start the weekend like this. Knight has been just, her whole career has just been clutch. Ties it up, go to overtime, get the win. Do the same thing with the men, bright and early, Sunday morning. I had mentioned this earlier on, asking, talking Olympics about, what's your favorite part? And it's like, it's the hockey. I know you could, look and see, on the math of, who had the most medals or who had, the most gold medals. We won. We won the Olympics. We won the hockey. That's the main one. And we're the winners. We're America. We win.
I'm not going to emphasis more on that. It was an intense game. I don't think we were the better team. I don't think we played better. We had one amazing goal where there's this air dribble tip tap with the stick. There's probably real hockey dialect to say all of this, but you're not going to get
No, I like it. I like it. No, I feel plugged in.
There's two no-brainer penalties that we screw up on. Both of them one of them were man down, which we fall to 3-2, at which one point I think the guy broke his stick or dropped his stick and it was 2-on-5, and somehow they don't score. It's an impressive goalie thing. I think that's what I'm going to take away from this. But even when we were man up, we couldn't even get that right, and we got our other penalty. I loved the flow of this game. No penalties for the most part other than those, but that added so much more of this because Canada was on the attack. They had a way more sophisticated offense. I thought they had better shots. They just missed so many good opportunities that if I was USA, I was just begging to have any opportunity like that. It doesn't seem right, though. I still love the 3-on-3 overtime. I heard some people wish it was a little bit longer, but I saw enough of this throughout this. The 3-on-3 overtime is awesome. And sometimes it is over like in a blink of an eye, but that's kind of the excitement of this, is that this is going to come to an end really soon at some point, and it's going to be really fun. I had a great time with all of this. I was sweating a little too much because I didn't think we had a good offensive flow, and somehow we were winning and not really looking like we were going to put another goal in the net. Were you nervous as well?
Oh, the whole time. The whole time, because we're down, and then especially in the men's, and the women's, it felt like we had all these opportunities, but in the men's, it was just like we just need an opportunity here. We need something, and then all right, we got a penalty advantage. Like, all right, now is our opportunity because we are running out of time, and I don't want this to go to sudden death. All the stuff I'm hearing, like how great Canada is and how their lineups, and we don't stand a chance, and also. As a complete casual, yes, once you go to 3-on-3, it is way easier to see as a casual person watching it. And I heard a lot more purists say, oh, this isn't real hockey, this, and that. It's like, well, these were the rules. These are the rules that were written up. This is how they play in the NHL as well. So I don't know how, now it can be brought up where it will. Why wasn't this brought up beforehand and changed if this is really an issue? But yes, as someone that watches very little hockey, just to go see 3-on-3, I feel like it's almost like, the basketball comparison might be the Elam ending, where every goal, it's sudden death, as well as it seems since it was 3-on-3, it wasn't a mistake. I'm going to say it was a highlight finish rather than, I think sometimes, I've seen some of the other games, a lot of the hockey, it's almost like a little bit of a trick of a guy shoots and there's a guy, that's blocking the goalie and there's trying to tip it in, and that's how the sport is played. But when it's 3-on-3, it was just, all right, somebody's going to do something awesome. We got some very cool pictures out of it. What did you think about the medal ceremonies?
Kind of emotional. with the jerseys out with the kids. Obviously, I'm sure everyone's heard of that story at this point. The guy that died from I believe it was a drunk driving accident.
It was him and his brother. Yeah, it was him and his brother in New Jersey. They were out for their sister's wedding, and got hit by a drunk driver when they were riding their bicycles. I'm not sure about both of them, but definitely Johnny Gaudreau, he would have been on this team. So that just added to it, where they had the jersey, they had the kids. Once it was kind of like explained to me, I do remember like the highlights of that story, but then kind of putting it together, which is like, oof, yep, there's a lot going on there.
I thought Canada looked pretty defeated, and I don't know. I mean, I'm smiling. It's not.
It's so crazy.
It's so dumb.
It's the way that it works. They do play for bronze, so you play this game. And you took second. You took second in the whole world, and it's fun to clown on them because it's Canada and it's hockey and all of that. But not even just for this, just across the whole board. You took second. But the third place team, they come walking in where they played earlier. They're showered up. They're not in their attire, and so when they get their award, like they just won their last game, so they're kind of like, pretty good, even though they are third, not second. But oh man, in both games, I had not noticed this before. With the other ceremonies of they get the silver medal, but then after receiving the silver medal, they are handed this little stuffed animal toy, and just the looks on their faces, and then they're handed just a child's toy, especially for the men. It was just like an extra, just a push into their wound of I'm sure some of them like saved it for their kids, or like were able to kind of get over that moment and just say, okay, I'm going to hold on to this. But there had to have been several of those that are in the garbage can in that locker room.
Oh, not even that. Is the whole world is watching as well. You have to accept this thing. You can't screw this up. You have to. You have to. There's no winning of making any scene of this at all. You just have to take it and you do it. And you can just see gritting that stupid stuffed animal in their hands was like, I'm ripping the head off this thing the second nobody sees me.
The second nobody sees me, but I can't do anything right now, and I'm still seething mad. We just lost to the United States in overtime. And then I'm not sure who the guy was that was giving out the stuffed animals, but he was giving in between like a handshake and a dap. So he wasn't going like in all of the way, probably because like you're on ice and you're gonna fall. But it was just like your finger up, your like thumb pointed towards yourself, kind of. I don't even know. It's like you're about to like arm wrestle sort of hand clasp, but it was just also weird. Like the first few guys you could tell are a little like confused of like, why are we not just normally shaking hands? What is this? Like we're not coming in for a hug here, the way the the commissioners and the NBA and the NFL are doing it now. So that just like added to it of this is just so uncomfortable for them, knowing it's about to keep panning to the right. The U.S. is about to get their gold medals. They're going to play our national anthem, and everybody else has to sit there and has to listen to it.
I really enjoyed the Olympics. It's not even an issue, really. It's just after this hockey game, really enjoying getting up early, watching the men's hockey win. I was ready to watch the Olympics for the rest of the week after that, and it's over. Like that's it. That's it. So like that's my only takeaway of it. Now I do think, like you said, this was the highlight of it, so it should go last. And boy, it would have been nice if that could have been prime time. And I understand why it can't, and in some circumstances it will be. But like this, that was the highlight, and I'm ready to go after it, and then it's just over. That's my only thing that I'll take away, and that's just something that I have to wait, and that's why these should feel special and only happen so often. But I'm ready for more, and there's just no more of it after. Because I can't wait for the next one.
It for sure went out with a bang.
Any other Olympic takeaways before we move on to normal sports? Safe sports, maybe? Non-dangerous sports? There was, you're going through it and you're watching it, and each year they take some Olympic events out, they add some new ones in, and then it's only every 4 years, so you forget about some of them, or you may not even have seen them in 8 years or 12 years based on what time you're watching. But it seemed like sometimes it would just ratchet up of the difficulty of, okay,
you're doing the crazy long skiing jumps. Like, okay, no, all right. So I think I got my handle on that. But then there was one that was going on Friday where it was a large jump. It wasn't like the X Games jump where you are like the distance is long. This one was like you were trying to go as high as you could, and it seemed like you were trying to stay as still and as like rigid as possible. And then it was like helicopter spins upside down, and it just I was talking to some people, around me going, how do you start doing this? I get it for other sports of, oh, okay, well, yeah, you just, you take a basketball and you dribble it around, and you start with like a little 6 foot, hoop when you're a little kid, or, if you're an adult, like there's parks where this, like, I just couldn't comprehend. I feel like just a lot of the Olympics was like, if you didn't start this as a kid, there just doesn't seem to be no way you could pick this up later in life.
It does seem like every event that they extended on to was like, let's just make this harder. I like the ski-mo. Did you see that where they got to go uphill and then they ski down? They like ski uphill.
I didn't see that. I had heard about it, and I read the description of what had to happen. It's just like, and I agree exactly what you said. Of, yeah, so we got some of the skiing stuff, but we're not sure that it's hard enough. How can we make this like? Yep, you for sure made it harder.
Well, the fun part about it is that you have the same equipment throughout all of it, and there's 2 transition periods where you have to like take things off and put them back on, and then carry some things up some stairs, and then you have to take the grip strips or whatever underneath it off the skis to then go downhill. Obviously, also the skis that that are ideal to go uphill are not the ideal skis you would want to race downhill in. So now they're using, it's not improper equipment. It's not that it's dangerous. It's just, it's not racing equipment like you just watched in the other event. It's like cross-country skis, and they're flying down the hill. I'm amazed of how fast it was. I didn't think, the way the event is described to me, I thought this would take way longer. This is like a 2-3 minute event, Zach. Like, they're getting up and down in a blink of an eye. And it's all about how those transitions I was talking about, where you get your stuff on and back on. That's really where it is, because everybody's got like the same skill set and endurance at this. It's how fast can you get this on and off? It's a really funny way to say, let's make the Olympics harder with this tiny little thing. It's the danger on top of all this is just, it's so excessive in all of it too. Where once again, it's like, let's race down in skis that make it more dangerous. Like, there's no, it's already hard enough.
Well, I will see you in 4 years in the French Alps to do this all again.
It'll be fun. All right, but it is February 23rd, as I said in the intro, and that means we are a week away from March. And that means March Madness is around the corner, Zach. College basketball is the next main topic here. It'll be the main topic until the NBA can dethrone this of some actual entertainment and some actual basketball games. All right, I know it's back, and I'm just more trashing the All-Star Weekend, which, let's move on from that. Huge week. I believe we have a new number 1 team in the country, Zach. Who is it?
It's been a long time, but yes, Duke is back at number 1. Just the way that the years have gone, you lose a couple early, and then some of these other teams have gone on these runs. What I liked about this was, I can't remember what wrestler said it, but if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Michigan was number 1. And it wasn't in Cameron. This was at a neutral site. It sounded like it was pretty 50-50 on the crowd breakdown. And just an awesome game. Was definitely some more foul trouble than I would have liked. But a close game throughout. I don't think there was any like crazy, refereeing calls one way or the other. Like I said, besides just kind of never good when Morrow went out in the first half, which was obviously good for Duke, but Cam gets, the 4th foul, in the second half. So that's not good for Duke. But you go against number 1, you beat number 1. Now you're at number 1. So I was happy. Wasn't really sure what to expect going in. I think there was been a lot of talk, and I think some of it just goes back to last year, that Duke is a team that is unable to close, and definitely in the games that we've lost, there's been some issues there. But I think there's also been games like this Michigan one. I'll bring up the Florida game that were close. And in this game here, Duke scored on every possession that they had after the 4-minute timeout. I mean, that's closing right there. And this was a low scoring. This was a defensive battle. We knew that going in. Everyone said, take the under. And even everyone saying take the under still hit. As a Big Ten fan, what were your takeaways?
I was impressed that Duke won. I really respect Michigan, and I'm pretty confident Michigan's both good at defense and offense. I would have thought if I was building of the available defenses in college basketball to stop Cam Boozer, I probably would have picked Michigan with the big guys and just thought this is how I would try to slow him down. I was more impressed that Duke slowed down Michigan and actually gave Michigan a hard time, and that how comfortable Duke was kind of playing that style and kind of being ugly basketball and being very efficient with it down when it mattered. It was a very, very impressive win. I'm not really dethroning Michigan. I actually think if you're Duke and Michigan in this was scheduled with this in mind, and this is like the most ideal thing for both these teams on the schedule. With the neutral site, and then we get to hear about this. It's got the tournament the tournament basketball that's not their brand is being used in this because they want this game is going to be how we dictate an actual value between these two. Like there was going to be no excuses left out, and I feel very good about it. I have no problem with Duke being the number one because I think Michigan's has a lot of big wins, and Arizona's strength of schedule, and they still had a really good week, is certainly in the conversation. But eye test wise, I just didn't think Michigan could lose in that fashion. I thought they would win that style of game, and I didn't think Duke would be better at that style of game. And very impressed that they won. That's my take.
Yaxel started off amazing. I think he was 3 for 3 or 4 for 4, and it was just like, well, I mean, knew he was good coming in, but just Duke has been very good this year about it's kind of the Belichick route of okay, who is your best guy? What is he the best at? We are going to take that away, and you're going to have to figure it out somewhere else. If you look at especially the guards, some of the guards that we've played, Mikal on Louisville, who scored was it 45 or 48? A few weeks ago when we played him, like we made it like personal. I mean, he didn't play against us the first game, but the second game when we were able to take it to him, it was because we just like removed him. Not literally, but virtually just from the game. He had no impact. So I think that was something that it didn't happen immediately, but was able to take into account. Did this maybe not turn around, but did Boozer move up in your draft rank at all, or just maybe your outlook on him? Because
no,
you've been saying for a while, no way in the NBA, not gonna be able to do it. He's not gonna be able to do it against size. There was size here, and again, he puts up 18, 6, and 7. I mean, in a very premier game. These aren't any sort of stat padding here.
I still don't see it, man. I still don't see it. I'm running out of arguments.
Is there something that you would have to see?
Yeah, I got to see it in the NBA. I just need to see it.
Okay, and that's fine.
That's it. But yeah, no, am I winning this argument right now based on the information we have? No, that was a huge game for him. It was a great game for him. I'm not gonna.
It's just that he does this Did you think that he had a great game?
I thought he had a great closing of the game, which you mentioned, like everyone's picking on them not being able to close. I don't think it's them closing. I think expecting a college basketball team to be good at closing is impossible. That's not. There's NBA teams that aren't good at that. The problem with Duke's closing is that they were in positions of power in both of those losses, man. They were blown closing opportunities where it's like, just don't screw this up. It's not like we're expecting you to hit a buzzer beater or expecting you to make your free throws and fouls.
It should never have come to that. So and that was even the free throws were still a problem on Saturday.
So it's not like, oh, no clutch gene, because it's insane to be grading any of these college teams on a clutch gene. But to say hey, can you just make your free throws in a position that you have the strength in and just close it out? That's all I'm pointing out with those losses at Duke. It's not that I don't think they can be clutch or that they don't have the skill set of guys. I actually think they have a pretty good free throw shooting team. It doesn't make sense that those moments have happened.
It's not.
And then it is a battle scar of last year, which also doesn't make sense and doesn't add up to anything that all of those players became and currently are in the NBA. So Coop and Kahn, last time we saw him in college was not a real good look, but man, that doesn't seem to be bothering them at all right now. So that's another argument that maybe Cam Boozer here is going to be just fine also. But I don't see it. The size and body type just doesn't look like an NBA guy to me. I don't know what it's going to look like. Who is he going to be like? Is he like Grant Williams, but better? I don't know what that is.
I just didn't see. I think there's been a lot of games this year where you watch it and you go, I mean, he was good out there, but nothing crazy. And then you look and it's like, well, he put up, this was 18, Actually, I said 6. 18-10. He had double-double. 18, 10, and 7. Where it's like, that is a crazy good statistical game. I feel like there's a lot of times it's just sneaky, and he always just he just does the right thing. I think maybe you could nitpick more on on defense, but I was very happy to come out of Saturday night with a big win. That's one of the biggest wins of the year.
Huge win for you.
Anybody.
Congratulations. Nobody cares for you. Everybody hates you again. Good luck with that 4.0 and those study expectations. Don't blow this now. You're going to be the top dog. Michigan now is interesting because I still think they're consistently a very good offense and a very good defense, and that almost every other team's going to have a problem with their size and their shooting normally, unless you can do what Duke did to them. How far would you drop them? Because it appears that it took a pretty good hit, right? How far did they drop now? They dropped to 3.
Just a 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't look like they dropped that much. I know they lost to Duke, but and Arizona just has this insane resume, and they had a good week as well. But I would still personally have them at 2. I think Michigan is a better team than Arizona. I just don't have the wins to argue it now. But do you feel that way?
I think you could nitpick it. It seems like a lot of the metrics are keeping Michigan up at the top, but the AP poll isn't about the predictive metrics. It's more, what have you done this season? And especially with the voting, it's a lot of, what have you done for me lately? And Michigan lost to Duke. And so if you're kind of comparing those head to head, well, you're gonna vote for Duke. And then at the same point, Arizona goes to Houston and wins there after earlier in the week beating BYU, who is going to be confidently a tournament team. So one good win and one great win for them. So I think going up against Michigan's one loss, I think that for this week, and then it can hash itself out in the next week or two.
Rough week for Houston. I can't defend Houston right now. I'll pick it up next week. Hopefully they can get their stuff together, because I still think that they should be a 1 seed, but I don't know, man. They might not have the resume if this keeps going on like this. They can't have weeks like this. They had to pull out one of them. I don't know.
Who is that?
Houston.
And I mean, this isn't super helpful because it's happening tonight, but do you know who Houston plays tonight?
No.
They play at Kansas on Big Monday. Do you know Bill Self's record in Big Monday games at home?
No, why would I know that?
It is ridiculous. I knew that this was good. I think we started mentioning this earlier this year. He is 40-0 and home games on Big Monday. And now Houston has 2 losses and they're going.
I think Houston wins tonight.
And Mike, they're favored. They're favored, not by a lot, but they're favored. So again, this isn't really helpful, so we don't need to kind of keep talking about this too much, because by the time the podcast comes out, this game will have already happened. But yeah, Houston, you think they're no longer a 1 seed, or you think they could still fight their way in to be?
I think they can still fight their way in, but the same way that we got Arizona at 2 over Michigan, the Iowa State, the UConn, if Florida wins out, that's I don't know if they're gonna have the. I don't know if they're gonna have the resume. You think they're gonna win out, like based on just losing 2 last week? You think they can survive the rest of the way out here? I still think they're a very good team. I just don't know if they're gonna get that 1 seed treatment, and nor maybe should they. They maybe aren't that consistent. They might be like a competitive team, but they might not be title contenders. I still think Houston's a title contender, whether they're a 1 seed or not. Even if they are at the 2 seed, I still think that they're really dangerous. See, if you look, if you look at KenPom, Houston they're still top 10 in both categories, and obviously you want to be top 5, but everybody would like to be top 1, in both of those. But being top 10 in offense and defense efficiency, like that is what puts you into, you are legit for title contention. Well, it's got to help that. If Arizona continues on very good, the Big 12 sort of resume it's like, look, Arizona's really good. We're like them. They're right here. That should help. Let's see other things in college basketball. There were some woes here. All right, Kentucky lost at the buzzer. Illinois basically lost at the buzzer. I don't know why either of those teams continue to be in those sort of situations. It's probably the most frustrating. Which one was the more frustrating loss if you were either of those teams?
I would say it has to be Kentucky, because Kentucky was the underdog, had an opportunity, and they're on a losing streak, and this just kind of adds to the woe. There's a little bit of a weird press conference situation with Pope, and I don't think things are going great down in Kentucky land in that situation, where Illinois is still good. This just is going to get chalked up as like this was weird. I think it helps that that was not as high profile of a game. I think it's probably worse because Illinois, is ranked as high. UCLA is coming off of all of the weird Mick Cronin stuff that we talked about last week. But I think Illinois could just kind of chalk it up as a bad night, where Kentucky hasn't won in a while.
I don't think UCLA is very good. Despite all the distractions aside, just that basketball team, I don't think it's very good. That was a pretty rough one for Illinois. The only weird thing about that Illinois loss is they got tired. Like, am I the one who thought like they had no? I don't think they hit 1-3 after like the second half through overtime, or the second half.
I wonder, and nobody wants to make any excuses or anything, but we're still very early on in this. We have West Coast teams in the Big Ten, and we have West Coast teams that are in the ACC now, and Mick is always angry when he's not in California. Now they get one here, and I think I was wondering if the teams will get better about this. Of okay, we're traveling from Illinois to the West Coast, so it's not all the way from the East Coast, but you're traveling, you're changing time zones. Of how do we set this up? What's the best way to do this? And it's still early on, so trying to figure out. And I think it could absolutely be legit that they retired.
It looked like they ran the offense they wanted. It was just like the guy that shot it didn't have the legs. Everything was short. I don't know.
Where was the defense on the last play?
I don't
know.
The
guy
just
went coast to coast and just like weaved through. And
how are guys getting to the
ball,
rim?
The first thing is like, hey, somebody guard the guy with the ball, and he just weaved his way through, and then it was a layup. It was like everybody fell asleep.
I don't know how you teach a class on this, but like you have to teach a class on how to play defense without fouling, because apparently to not foul, you just don't play defense. That's impossible at the end of these games. It's like, don't touch the guy at all. Like, well, you get his way a little bit, you can still, I don't know.
You still should play some defense because it's college. Put him to the line.
Yeah, that's another good argument.
It may be a more exciting finish. Wasn't from Saturday, but on Wednesday, Arkansas, Alabama, double OT. And these were just like haymakers down the stretch. I think sometimes you have just teams don't make shots or weird things happen, and that's how this continues. This was just my best versus your best, and for sure Alabama's not known, for their defense. But this was a game that I caught the highlights later, and usually I'm maybe not disappointed, but it's like, okay, that makes sense. Where this was, then this, and we're only in the first overtime. Just what a college basketball game.
Well, what'd you think of the Cal boot comment after, where our guy, your Darius Acuff goes for 49 in the double overtime of that game, and then after Cal says, "Yeah, this guy's been in a boot for the last 2 days," which makes no sense at all. I mean, I don't know. When you're young, I guess you could do things like that, but to be injured enough to be in a boot sack and then play 2 days later and play most of the entire 2 games in a double overtime game and score 49 points, do we need to know the boot legend? Or maybe we just sweep that under the rug. Like, who is this benefiting?
I think maybe college boot is different than professional boot. I don't know for sure, but it just seems it's just like all the accolades for scoring 49 points in a game, and Arkansas record and this record and freshman all this stuff, and then on top of it is he's also he's not 100%. Just like, what? Like, who is this guy? Wild.
That's got to be in the Cal recruiting thing, where he's like, you need to say something nice in these games when I score this much, like just add to it always. Like, you score 49, add something into it.
You have to build you have to build up the legend in some way. Like, you can't say his leg was broken, but he was in a boot. I asked him, like, are you going to play? No. Heck yeah, I'm going to play, coach.
All right. Speaking of legend, or maybe even myth, I don't know. This Peterson thing just continues to be interesting. I'm a little tired of arguing about it and discussing it, but it's kind of impossible to ignore this at this point, where I think this is clearly the number one talent of the NBA, but there's things that he can do to cost himself of that continue to get brought up, that I don't really have an explanation for it. Do you want to talk about the latest stuff with this? Like, I'm really tired of
Sure.
it. But what do we got this week?
Yeah. So they lose at Cincinnati on Saturday. Not a good loss, but he plays like the full game. But this is coming off of they win against Oklahoma. I mean, I'll start off with the good. He scored 23 points, but he only played 19 minutes. And there's a little bit of a joke going around that as soon as he hits the 20 points, that's when he calls it. He's like, I got my 20 points. I am good. There was a big profile on it. Myron Metcalf on ESPN that is like really looking at this. And there's some quotes from Peterson saying, hey, if I could be out there all the time, I'd be out there all the time. I mean, he's saying all of the right things, but now it's like getting brought up in the press conferences, and it's no longer that Bill Self, and Bill Self's been coach for a long time. He's being less just like coach speak. I'm not going to give you anything. And there just seems to be a little bit of like, yeah, this is kind of frustrating that I would like to have this guy that's supposed to be the number one pick play. And now we've almost hit, I'm going to call it like, I don't know, it's like the second wave, or it's probably more than the second wave. But now we're not talking about the reaction. It's like we're talking about the reaction to the reaction to the reaction. Bill Simmons on his podcast mentioned, he's not really a college basketball guy at all. I mean, he has a whole sports, media podcasting empire and doesn't have a college basketball podcast on there. So if he's weighing in on it, that it's getting into like it's going beyond just a college, bubble.
It's hitting the scouts.
And he said, no, I don't think he's the number one guy anymore.
It's reaching the scouts, is what you're saying. It's getting to NBA guys. It's getting written down somewhere. This is on a bulletin board somewhere, or somebody's taking notes on this. This is now a mark that is under consideration of a characteristic that may or may not be a problem, but it's written down now. It's now been documented, and that's not a good place to be at. Where there's questions, and I don't know how he's going to answer them. Could you do you think you think he can fix this?
It is super weird how Saturday he plays 32 minutes. So for college, a college game has 40 minutes, and the elite guys, kind of depending on the team, like you were going to play pretty much every minute. You're not going to sit, very often. So 32, I would say it's at the low end, but that's like a pretty full game. But he only had 17 points. So now this rumor going around about he only calls out once he's hit his 20. It's like, well, this is only going to like gain steam. I mean, I'm hoping he plays tonight, has a great game at home. I think everybody wants him to play well. It's just, it just continues to be odd. I just would have thought like last week, it was like, all right, either he's going to play or he's not going to play. But this like partial playing just makes everybody think like there's some sort of agent involved. There's something like he's getting information saying, well, you got to do this, which I maybe get 5-10 years ago. I think we've already talked about this, like with the Zion stuff, but he's getting paid to play right now. I mean, for sure, if he gets hurt, that's going to be awful. But I think that this is like hurting his stock more at this point than a possible injury, where if he gets injured, we saw Embiid fall a little bit in that draft, and that was like a pretty serious injury. But, if he, rolls an ankle, or it has to be more than rolled an ankle, but like say, breaks his ankle. All right, he drops from 1 to 3, and you're losing a little bit, but then the second contract, that's the big contract, and you're not losing. It's not like you went from 0 and now you're at 0, or you go to 0 to millions of dollars.
When he gets drafted next year, do you think he will play in the first game of the year?
Yes.
Because I don't.
Because I don't think there's any, it doesn't seem to be, like, I don't want to say like that there's not a real injury. Because earlier in the year, he was out for an extended period of time. But it's not pointed to one thing. Where, if you hurt your hand, if it's something else, like, I think this could be marketed to better of, look at this guy. Look how tough he is. He is gutting this out. Like, anybody else wouldn't even be playing. Like, but he's going out there and, he's going for as long as he can, and then he's out. It's, well, no, he's there, and, he asked the coach, I thought he was good to go today. Yeah, I don't know what happened. And, well, he's got the flu tonight. He warmed up. He just didn't have it. And even if it's true, it's all these things that compound on top of themselves.
It's a distraction. And they got a big game tonight. We kind of already talked about it. What other big games we got coming up this week?
We have another Very fun week. A little more spread out than last week. Maybe not quite the tippity top, but you're going to see that your team is prominently placed. Wednesday, we have Florida at Texas. You saying that Florida had no chance? They just keep creeping up. Keep creeping up. Keep an eye on them. On Thursday, awesome Thursday. A lot of times there's just no games on Thursday. There's like 6 small games. No, we have Michigan State at Purdue. Friday, we have Michigan at Illinois. Saturday, we're going to have Vandy at Kentucky. You seem to have no concern about Kentucky. I have big concerns about Kentucky. That's at 2 o'clock. Also at 2 o'clock, ACC, Louisville at Clemson, 6 o'clock, prime time. Alabama at Tennessee. If you're going to stay up for the late game, it is Gonzaga at St. Mary's, rivalry game. And then Sunday, Big Ten, back in the mix. We have Purdue at Ohio State, and then we will have Michigan State at Indiana. How are you feeling that you are on the list twice this week?
No worries. That's where we play, man. It's the Big Ten. This is what you got to do. It's not supposed to be easy. Hopefully those other teams feel the same way I feel going in, being like, oh boy, that's what we got to face. All right. Good luck. Look, we're not in the best groove right now. We kind of gutted out 2 wins we had to win against teams we should have beat. But our offense is slowly disappearing, and then unfortunately we are having these periods where our defense is not very effective. I don't think either of the teams we beat this past week were very good shooting teams, and yet they shot the ball very well against us. I don't like that. Generally, that's what we take away from teams that are way more superior than all of this. So I'm a little concerned. Now, that being said, the teams we're facing have also had some ups and downs, and could easily not play the way they're supposed to play either. So we'll see who's consistent in all of this. I wouldn't be shocked to come back with splitting it here, but
any thoughts on the committee came out with this is the first week that they did a reveal of the future seeds and had Michigan State as a 4 seed, right between Texas Tech and Vanderbilt.
I got no issue. I don't care what seed we are. We're not a 1 seed. I'm not arguing that we should be a 1 seed. And I think it'd be a overrated 2 seed. So I don't care. Put us wherever you want to put us. We're going to be an underdog. You're not going to want to face us. It doesn't matter. We're an underdog regardless. You can put us at whatever seed you want. The other team is not going to be excited to face us. I don't care.
I like that attitude. Can we talk about Kentucky a little bit?
I actually wanted to talk about Kentucky because you said I wasn't so worried about it. And I was like, no, I just don't like the way they play. Is there any other way to say it? Like, what are they good at? Is it an offensive team? Are they a defensive team? Their energy vibe is such a weird flow. I don't know if they want to run. I don't know if they should be playing zone. I don't like the way they play, though. It never feels like they're in any flow. It never feels like they're at their best of anything. Everything feels like it's a fluke. Like even when it's bad, it feels like it's a fluke. It's like how are these talented guys not working out? I don't like the way they're coached personally. How do they not get the rebound? Like that's not anybody who's that competitive and worked this hard to get to this league should have been able to identify. Just get this damn rebound and you win this game. Too many mistakes too frequently, and I kind of blame Pope a little bit for a lot of these now at this point. I think he's played around with the rotation enough. I think he still hasn't found it, and that hasn't helped because you kind of keep searching and there's no consistency. But the guys haven't been consistent. So I don't like it. I just don't like the way they play, man. They're not fun to watch either. That's the other hard part about this. And this should be ideally my history of watching this team is there's a lot of talent on this team, a lot of NBA talent. And it's not Cal anymore, but I don't know. Are we going to the right direction here?
Still Kentucky. So we talked earlier this year and we did a little preliminary college NBA crossover, and we did, the lottery. And every lottery pick, except for 1 or 2, was star freshman from college. No internet. Maybe you picked one international guy. It was all freshmen. None of them are on Kentucky. Right now, for next year, Kentucky has 0 recruits signed. Not one. And again, Cal drove that. But even before that, it's still Kentucky. But if you look at it, Hope came from BYU. BYU has the Bansa. And so it just doesn't seem like there's necessarily light at the end of this tunnel. Kentucky for sure had a ton of injuries at the beginning of the year. And still, like some of the guys, like they didn't come back. But at this point of the year, you said in a week it's March. Like there's no more time for tinkering and trying to figure this out. It has to be figured out by now. They have South Carolina, who's one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the SEC on Tuesday. But then after that, they play Vandy, like we mentioned. They're away at Texas A&M, and they're home for Florida. They're most likely going to be, they're going to be favored against South Carolina, but they're going to be underdogs in those next three. At this rate right now, they're projected, they're going to have to play the first day of the SEC tournament.
The other issue that you haven't really touched on, I mean, you keep beating me down that Florida's playing well. Sure, Florida's playing well. I don't think SEC is that good because you could say Florida's good. I already crossed them off. I don't think their guard play is going to be good in big moments. Their big men are fantastic and are going to win and compete in a lot of games that other teams just aren't going to have. But who else in the SEC like do you actually trust here? Alabama's hot right now. It's an offensive team. They every year it seems like if they match up with the right team, they can score, they can run. I'm not buying into that. The problem is Kentucky's not even losing to like a good SEC is what I'm saying.
I think part of it is I don't think the SEC is necessarily bad. I think it's just last year the SEC was so good that just comparatively it's like, oh, it doesn't look so good. But if you just compare it to the other leagues, it's like, okay. And I just think that they don't have the top line. Last year Auburn was number one for a while. Florida was hanging around where Florida was at the tippity top to start the year, and then they fell off. And you crossed them off. A lot of other people crossed them off, and now they're sitting at the they're 5 on KenPom, they're 7 in the AP poll, so they're right in the mix. But that's the top. Vandy's been falling recently, but they'd be the next one, and so they have more like they're going to still put a ton of teams into the tournament, but it's just not going to be a bunch at the top like I think they have maybe the past few years.
I think a lot of these SEC teams have visible flaws versus last year. I thought they had a little bit cleaner resumes as well. And it wasn't just like a top one. Like Florida right now is probably the only one that's got a semi-clean resume in the SEC. Everyone else, I think there's things I can point at, not only the resume, but of red flags of didn't close that out, not the greatest offense, not great free throw shooters, or don't play defense. Things that in the past haven't also been, there isn't a history right now of the SEC just dominating all of this either. Well, like let's see them be a good.
No, but I think you're going to have ebbs and flows. Like last year, that was like they were like that when you'd have you say, hey, what are the games for this week? Like sometimes I have to kind of push some of the SEC games because I'm just mentioning these same teams just playing each other, every night. Like that's all we're talking about. We gotta mix in something else. But then they put like a record number of teams in, and then Florida won the championship. So I mean, it was worth it.
The way all of this worked out, it's not the way it should have worked out, or at least it's not the way anyone would have expected it. You mentioned earlier of like, all right, Pope leaves BYU to go to Kentucky. Ideally, this should be an upgrade for everybody involved, and somehow it feels like BYU upgraded because they ended up with the Batsa and have the highest NIL contract in the league right now. Cal is such an interesting thing where I would have just kept him. I understand the frustrations of getting rid of him. Everyone said he had to go, and he went, and he did it on his own terms. You didn't even have to get rid of him. Goes down the road, and already in year 2, I could see some of the similar frustrations, but it's also like there's just this juice around it that there's some excitement. There's some potential. You got a guy that scored 49 points. I just would rather have that.
Going to the league.
I wouldn't have moved on from that. And I'm not even dissing the hire of Pope. It was a different direction. It had to be a change, and this is what change looks like. I just wouldn't have done it. And I wonder now, do you think they regret that? Because I don't think they do, but it's not going well.
I think I think if you're a Kentucky fan and you are starting to think, oh man, maybe we should have held on to him. It wasn't just the last year. I don't think it was a knee-jerk reaction at all. This was going in the wrong direction. They were not winning tournament games. They were not making deep runs. It wasn't working. They were still getting the recruits. And so I guess maybe you can make that argument, like you said, of there's at least some excitement when you are talking in the offseason about, hey, well, we got this guy. And, there's a lot more, the portal. That's a real thing. So that could just be that's Pope's angle. But just seems weird that there's no recruits. Like, are you just completely giving up on it? Which Patino, great coach. That's what they're doing at St. John's. They said, we're not even worried about that. We're just going to look in the transfer portal, and we're going to get guys that we are a known quantity. But you can't go into the transfer portal until the season's over. So for right now, there's not as much of the excitement that I think a Kentucky fan base is used to.
This is going to be too much of a summary of what these two coaches' styles are, but like the way Cal coaches, it seems like you're just getting the most talent you possibly can, and you'll worry about chemistry after. My issue with Pope is I think he's focusing on chemistry, and yet this team looks like it has some of the worst chemistry in the league, and we're recruiting purely on chemistry, to my understanding. Maybe there's obviously talent in here as well, but like they don't look like a happy team, and they should be a happy team because it was constructed to be a happy team, Zach. That seems like bad coaching or bad something. Something's not working here. Or because the other way wasn't working either, but we were in the tournament. We were at least losing games that we could be mad about. All right. Now you're losing games. You're just wishing you could win a game. That's farther down, if you ask me. I would have rather been at least Cal's opening up on the first page, man. I don't know if anyone's turning the page on this. It's not good.
It's hard to follow up a guy like Cal that was there for a long time, won a national championship, and so sometimes, I mean, we saw it with the Patriots of, you know what, you need a buffer guy, and I don't know, maybe Pope is going to have to be the buffer guy, but it just seems like it's not me being biased because it's like, well, whoever their coach is, whatever they want to do, but it seems like I'm hearing rumblings, and it's like it's not improving.
The risky part about all of this is that he's going to continue to recruit the way he has, and maybe the transfer portal, like you said, will come through. And I actually think that is the most modern day way to kind of attack all of this. So there's hope of all of that working. But if we don't get the big names, like you're saying, going into next year, and we have another year like this, I don't think you're going to be able to slow down the rumblings. Like this way will work. There are programs that are just like this that can function like this, and the BYU is a good example of all that when he was doing it over there. This could work.
Yeah, but that's not Kentucky. This is what we were talking about earlier. Canada and hockey, Kentucky and basketball. Like that's what goes together. So the expectations at Kentucky are much different from a BYU.
I think it can work still, but I don't think it can work as fast as if you just invited Cal back in and said open up shop all over again. That works, I think, in a year or two. I still think this is going to take time, and I don't know if you're going to get it because, like you said, Kentucky doesn't give anybody that time. If they were going to give someone some time, they would have gave Cal even more time, but they're not. So
Cal had a lot of time.
This is a bad situation for Pope, though, because he's trying to run a program where I think he needs time, and he's going to get forced into a corner right now where he's going to either have to do something he's not wanting to do or not done in the past, or he's going to stay in his ways. He's going to get fired.
I mean, we're bringing this up, and we just talked. Kentucky has nobody for next year. BYU, where Pope just came from, got to Banta. The situation's a little different than when he was there with NIL and everything. But then, Cal is still doing his thing. He's got the number 2 recruit for next year, like locked in. Like Cal's going to keep doing what he does, and he's still in the SEC. He didn't go to a different. Like now, you have to play him once or twice every year.
Like they're all.
This isn't going away, and I think that is also part of it that you see it up close. It's not, oh, he went to USC. He plays in a different conference. He plays late at night. It's no. He is playing the same teams that you're playing. He plays you. You see it. It's right there in your face.
They are a roller coaster of a team. You want to talk about interesting closing lineups. That team is a marathon of entertainment where you never know what's going to happen. You want to watch the team in overtime? Watch that team in overtime and be like, is this team good or really, really bad? It's up and down. But the up and down, and when it's up, man, watch out for that Arkansas team. Like, I at least think they have a puncher's chance despite some really bad losses and some really inconsistent play. But that's like a dangerous tournament team, if you ask me, just because they got a guy that could score 49 points in double overtime. That's a threat.
Yeah.
That's something you got to worry about.
Yep.
And that's something I don't know how you prepare to stop when it's happening. In the moment when it's happening, it's like, well, we have our defensive strategy, but this guy's just better. The offense is just better. It's really hard. It's not often in college where the offense is just better. To have a guy like that is it's a huge advantage. It's not consistent. It might ruin some chemistry here and there, but you only got to win one game in the tournament to advance, right? Just get one move on.
Survive and advance, man.
All right.
Next week.
That's enough college basketball there. Almost got a whole hour of all this. We got to do a little bit of NBA, a little bit of cleanup. There's tanking stuff that I guess we could discuss. There's a bunch of NBA proposals of things that they have discussed of possibly solving this, and nothing really solves all of this. It's more of like, what would you rather complain about in every single one of these solutions, if you ask me. Did anything catch your mind? Like you were like, yeah, all right, I'm into that. Let's do that. That makes sense.
Just overall, it's not that this is still being discussed, even now as games have come back. It's that this has been discussed enough that the NBA has felt the need to come up with their own ideas. So it's one thing when we come up with our ideas and other people have goofy ideas and you're like, well, what if you tried this and get as silly and, as crazy as you want. But now when league sources are coming out with ideas, it's, okay, this might be for next year. And this is a real problem. Like they're really looking into like this. It's like, I take it much more, I guess, much more seriously. But I'll read off what the options were. First round draft picks can be protected only for top 4 or top 14 plus selections. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or later date. No longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years. Teams can't pick in the top 4 the year after making conference finals. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. Flatten odds for all lottery teams. To me, all of these just change when a team starts to tank, whether it's earlier or later. It doesn't really solve the problem. I really think, and maybe it's only because when the All-Star break happened, that those teams got fined, and then we just went on a 2-week break where this was the only we could talk about. Where if Adam Silver maybe had fined these teams, a week before, and then saw the results of, okay, they're still, in quotes, tanking, but they're not just doing it blatantly in your face, and that might have already solved the problem.
Like I said, this is really just a different way to complain about it. It's a way to change the talking cycle about it. Instead of being right now and for the rest of the season until the playoffs start, it could be longer, shorter, or something else. That's all these were just like ESPN topics to me. All right. There was like a first take thing of like, which one of these do you think you want to talk about from December to this time? Well, if we do this one, we could do this. And that's all.
Like I said, we already discussed this. I never would have brought this up if the league, these weren't like, this wasn't Bill Simmons had some ideas like, these were fun, let's talk about these. Like, no, the league came out with these and they all seemed like terrible to me. So yeah, that's the only reason where it's not fun to talk about, especially now, the All-Star break is over. There were actual games that were played, actual teams that wanted to win, actual teams that tried.
Look, I'll give Silver credit because I don't think he's shied away from really changing some traditional stuff. I'm just curious if he's really got the balls to say no to a whole lot of money and say no to the long schedule and make the season shorter. I don't know if he'll ever do that, but I'll give him credit for really entertaining like any sort of change. Like, what can we do? Like, I'm listening to the people here. I don't like this either. This has been a problem for years. We've done X, Y, and Z. Sure, we could try something else. It's not going to solve it, but we can find out more about all of this to maybe get a little bit closer to a solution, or at least manipulate teams to not being, stuck in the ways that they are right now. That we have to get out of that philosophy that the best way to do all this is to lose the most games possible. Or at least too many teams are trying to do that. We have to leverage it some other way, the other way, and that's all this is trying to do, and I don't think it'll succeed at it, but I'm all for trying it. Like, what's going to change? Like, do you think there's anything the league can change that is actually going to damage where we're at? Like, I don't think any of this can damage it. It can't get worse.
I think it can always get worse. But I think some of it too is we always want stuff fixed immediately, as quickly as possible. And again, I think this fining by Silver, like that, is going to solve this problem. If the Jazz continue to just be blatant about this, the fines are going to keep coming. If they just do what it seems like they're doing of Jaren Jackson's getting shut down, Nurkic, like he's getting surgery on, I think it was on his nose, of just, okay, they're hurt. They're getting surgery. They're done for the year. It's still tanking, but it's just not as blatant as you play the guys for 3 quarters and then you don't play them in the fourth in a competitive game. And now people are looking at it going, well, Come on, like, well, don't pretend like I'm stupid. Like this is insulting. So I think it would take care of itself, as well as in conjunction with this part of it. The CBA just had a major overhaul in the past couple of years, and I'm just concerned about, is it this tanking situation or is it this CBA that is driving things? And now you turned the knob for the CBA, and now you're trying to pull the lever on the draft odds, where really maybe you need to be turning the knob on, I guess you can't be doing the CBA all of the time, but when you change something, it influences everything else. So you just kind of have to keep an eye on it. And so I think we're going to get back into basketball. I think that people are going to talk about the tanking less. People aren't going to care about what the Jazz are doing. They're not going to care about what the Pacers are doing, as like all the teams at the bottom just kind of settle into their areas. And as long as they just aren't blatant about it, it just seems so easy from the league of just finding, and it seems so easy from the teams about just don't do it blatantly.
Do you think the league cares? Have they given you the impression that they are taking this seriously? Like, is this convincing to you? They've succeeded in that you have, because normally we raise our voices and we scream at all of this and we don't ever get a response. This time we got a response. It makes you feel like they cared. So you're happy with the response. You like this approach by them where they're like, all right, we're listening to the people.
Well, that's where I think that it's real that they're reviewing it, because they came out and said, hey, here's some ideas, where I think it would have been very easy for Silver and them to go the aspiration route and just say, we're looking into it, when we know like nothing's gonna happen. It's just like, all right, yep, yeah. We'll keep peeking around. We'll get some brainstorms. We'll get some sessions going here.
Here I just gave the praises to Silver. You bring up the flaws in the same conversation. I mean, there's no winning of all that. I think the problem is that the NBA, while they're saying things that do make you care and things that make you think they care, and something they would have never done in the past. Could you imagine David Stern announcing, like, reading these top 10 things? You just the anger in him of being like, I'm taking other people's ideas. No. They take my ideas. Can't ever imagine all of that. The problem is that I don't think the NBA really cares about their partnership with the fans or with the media. They took all of the money, and if you ask me, we're the ones getting screwed out of all these bad games, and so is the media, because they got to broadcast these games. They paid all this money to broadcast these games. These games are terrible. I think we're on the side where we don't really have the leverage either, because I don't think the NBA truly cares about any of that. If they did, they would shorten the schedule, which they're never going to do. I'm fine getting the responses and making changes of all this, but to me, they're not really demonstrating a good partnership out of all this. There's things that I think could be done to force you guys to play, and I don't know how to do it, because you want the playoffs to matter. They extended the playoffs to make more teams care, and I don't know if that's succeeded.
I think it's going to have to be the broadcast partners. They're the ones that are really pushing this, and I think that they have in the past. And we did change we flattened the lottery odds not that long ago. And so this is just I'm not going to say random. It's just Monday, but I'm just going to pick this as the day just to take a look. In college, we have what I am calling two like must-watch games. You have Louisville at North Carolina at 7. You have Houston at Kansas at 9:00. If I pull up the NBA games, Spurs Pistons, that is must watch. Got to see that one. Awesome. The other two games, and that's on Peacock. Next one, not on regular TV. Kings Grizzlies, two teams that are tanking. Nope. If I'm not playing fantasy or I'm not gambling, why would you want to see two teams that aren't putting their best effort in? Followed up by, this is also on Peacock, Rockets versus the Jazz. We know the Jazz are tanking, so this one's at 9:30. I wouldn't be staying up for the completion of that one anyway. But that's on Peacock, so that hurts Peacock. That hurts the NBA for revenue. If me as a basketball fan is saying, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say no, thank you to tanking Jazz versus the Rockets, and I'm going to watch Houston, Kansas.
It's a fair argument, and it's a way you should value your time, man. The NBA, like I said, I don't know if they're the partner you think they are. I think they're happy to please you with these ideas and make you feel like they care, but they're not really changing anything. They're just collecting more money.
Can we talk about the NBA that I do care, so we're not just whining like the whole time?
I'd love to. What would you like to talk about?
The Boston Celtics.
Oh, great. All right, more
going to LA, going to the Lakers on statue night. And I don't know. I think the Lakers thought, oh, well, this is a scrappy Celtics team. Like, well, we got Luka. We don't really need to, be concerned about this. The Lakers just like, they didn't try for like a good chunk of the game. And the Celtics just said, well, we're just like, we're going to try.
Did Pat Riley
everyone
just snatch their souls before the game with like a really serious prep talk? And they were like, we don't play that hard, Pat. He just must have exploded on them. And they didn't win a single 50-50 ball for this entire game.
Not even close. Not even close. It was so awesome because they were doing that statue unveiling. It was just like every living Laker legend was there in attendance and had to just watch that. And it wasn't a close game. The Celtics, pretty much right from the jump, were just all over them. And it really wasn't even just like they were the better team. It was, like you said, 50-50 balls, little things like, hey, you want to have LeBron just like slowly walk the ball up? Well, you know what? He's going to deal with rookie Hugo Gonzalez just being an absolute pest. And for sure, Hugo made some mistakes, very rookie mistakes. I think it was Reeves got him on a pump fake right at the end. But you know what? He's out there. He's trying. And, well, an all-time sports weekend for me, where there was a few weeks ago, I had one of those where it's just a rough one, but it's so much better when it has one of these. If you start Thursday off, women win in hockey. Saturday, Duke wins an epic showdown. Men's hockey in the morning. And then Celtics just destroy the Lakers. And then the little cherry on top, it wasn't even like really announced or anything, but Jason Tatum is practicing. They posted an official picture. This wasn't some grainy picture that, shouldn't have been out there. And I don't know what he was doing, but it sure looked like he was on the court driving and Luka Garza was guarding him. This wasn't a G League guy. This was an NBA guy. So, nothing's still official on when he's going to come back, but it's still trending in that direction, that this team that's the 2 seed is about to get just a nice little influx of veteran talent.
It was an embarrassing effort by the Lakers. If I'm JJ Redick, I'm wishing I could swap rosters with what I saw last night. It had to be fuming. I don't know how you get the attention of the Lakers, though. Like the guys that they got, they're going to play the way they play. I think ultimately they're just not very coachable, and maybe that's a huge red flag. Because last night was I don't know how do you get guys to try more than that in a game that
it's
Pat Riley's at, man. All these guys are watching. Like I know they don't care about.
It's Celtics Lakers.
Yeah,
it's a rivalry game. You can't get up for that, and maybe it is like LeBron. It's the very tail end of his career, and so for him, a rivalry. It's like, is he really like a Lakers guy or like Lakers Celtics and all like that? And Luka's brand new to the team and he's not not American. So for him, it's like, oh well, nobody has flares in the stands. Is this like really a rivalry? Like, can I be bothered to play today? But I mean, the Lakers are just odd in general, where they're 12 games over 500, but they have a negative point differential. Like their point differential is similar to the Clippers, who are 27-30.
I don't want to talk about the Clippers, but the Clippers might be one of the best teams in basketball at the moment, and it doesn't make any sense at all. And I know they didn't even win last night, but like
they're getting paid under the table.
Why?
That's why they have the effort, because all of a sudden there's a influx of cash, and oh, you know what? Actually, I am going to play a little harder today because I want to make sure that check comes in.
All right, non-basketball topic aside, I thought the statue looked great. I thought the Riley statue looked really good. I thought they got it right. I wish. I thought he looked a little too friendly in it. Was the only thing I would have changed. Some of these statues you can really control the expression, and sometimes too much expression. This looks terrible. I thought they played it safe so that it would look like him, but I would have had him given a little bit more meaner of a stare, because that's kind of what I recognize in Pat Riley of being a unique characteristic out of him, is just being able to look and stare you down and just suck your soul out. Like he's just a monster. I thought the statue looked good though. What did you think of the statue? They get this wrong a lot. So what did you think of this one?
It was fine. It was fine. I hear what you're saying. It did just feel a little bit odd. And I mean I understand, but it's like Pat Riley for like a ton of people is is like Miami Heat, like only like Miami Heat. And I know all the all the Lakers stuff. So it was just like it just seemed a little bit odd, and I get it. Like he's getting older. Like this is what you have to do. He was with the Lakers for a long time. Had a lot of success. Had a lot of success there. But there was just like a little bit of like, How like Miami Heat fans feel about this? That he's doing Lakers stuff, mid-season.
Oh no, I don't. I think he's happy to do the Lakers stuff because he's basically doing all the Lakers stuff while bragging that he's moved on and done well. Like he's done fine. It's worked out. It's not like
But the Lakers have also done fine.
They have, but if you ask me, do you wish you still had Pat Riley running things? I'm sure part of them still does. I think Miami is still one of the better run organizations. The Lakers are always going to be the Lakers, and that's kind of like different circumstances of being in the NBA. But I think they've mishandled that a lot more than Miami has, of general managing is what I'm saying. A lot more hiccups.
Well, something else I would like to mention, just to go back just a tad here, the college versus NBA, since we have this wonderful YouTube TV where you can watch multiple games at the same time. The two games I previously mentioned, the two must-watch games, Louisville, North Carolina, and the Spurs versus the Pistons. Those games were both scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Right now, there is 12 minutes to go in the first half. So there's been 8 minutes, basically 8 minutes played in the college game. The NBA game has just tipped off.
They're not going to fix this. Nobody cares. They don't care about you.
I care.
You paid.
I care. I think other people care.
You paid to watch it. They already got their money.
Why? Just if the game is, if you're not going to start the game until 7:15, just put that as the start. Baseball, it says it's going to start at 7:09 or 7:06. I don't know why, but if that's when it's going to start, just tell me when it's going to start.
Yeah, but how are you going to watch all the commercials, Zach? You got to watch the commercials.
All of the conferences are different. There's plenty of commercials during the game. They got patches on their jerseys. There's commercials on the court.
You know what I'm done with? I'm done with the bottom line. I get rid of the ESPN bottom line.
Oh, yes.
Make the screen bigger.
If we're going to continue this wine fest, or at least be able to opt out of it, because yesterday, I mean, that was also a big win for me this weekend. Huge snowstorm in Connecticut. Awesome. Got over a foot of snow. Loved all of it. But all yesterday, when I'm watching one of the ABC NBA games, it wasn't just the bottom line. It was like 3 lines deep. And then they consolidated the top of it. So then there were 2 bars on the side just to make it so it was still in the same ratio, where I get it. People need to get their information. There's a lot of important things, but we're in New England. It's a snowstorm. If you are still going to ABC to find out about your school closings, like, there's so many easier, faster ways to find it. Just let me opt out of it I will go find out if the town near Rhode Island is going to be having school or not.
I hate it. I can't stand it. Trying to watch the game. I paid a lot of money to get this channel to watch the game, and they're giving me a bunch of stuff I can get on my phone. Nobody needs this, or I don't need it. Give me an option.
When was the last time the bottom line beat you to something?
It's probably something really tragic is honestly the result. It's, so-and-so died. It's probably more of that than actual sports news. Like there's not a score that came across or something like that, where it was like I couldn't find the game and I needed to know the score. Like that used to be a thing where, I fell asleep last night. How do I could fire up the computer, but I could also just watch Mike and Mike in the morning and
it'll go through.
Stare at that bottom line and eventually it'll go through. And 10 minutes before the hour, you switch over to the top 10 on Sports Center, and that's your morning. That's how it used to be.
The only time that I get tricked, or not tricked, it's going to turn into a trick. The only time that I've found out something that I didn't know is when I'm an idiot and I'm watching something that's been recorded, and then sometimes I'll find myself looking at the bottom line, and it'll be someone that has gotten hurt, but a month ago was playing, and so say something like Jaren Jackson Jr. is suiting up tonight. It's like, he's coming back? They said he was done for the year. And it's like, no, this is old. You're watching an old recording, so it's the bottom line is old. That is the only time. I don't think the bottom line has actually given me news in quite a long time.
You know what'll get me every now and then is I'm watching too many sports to really keep track of everybody's schedule. But every now and then, the college one, I know there's college every night pretty much, right? There's games where I'm not going to know. There's probably something on every night. Occasionally YouTube, actually more often or not, YouTube will do this where it's just like Duke versus UNC is on there, and I'll click it and it's the women's game. But for half a second, there's a panic in me being like, oh my God, is that on right now? Because it's generally a premiere time for the women's premiere section. So like that all makes sense, but I will tune into it being like, oh my God, how did I miss this? We didn't talk about this on the podcast. And then sometimes I will watch the women's. There are generally some good matchups. There's a lot of blowouts, but it's not like YouTube has really defined. It's generally just the logos against the logo of is this men's or women's. And I don't need more of an explanation. I figured it out on my own.
They do not differentiate it.
But there are moments where I'll have a heart attack and be like, God, I am not ready for that. That game's right now. What's the score of that game? Speaking of women's sports, it looks like ESPN is going to have women's sports Sundays on ESPN. And that'll be the ESPN main channel?
Main channel.
Main channel. All right. So they're going to put that on there. That's great. I'm happy for all that. What's going on ESPN Plus on Sunday nights? Like, what on their own network are they overcharging and competing with? Now, this should be a positive thing, but I'm more curious on that because if you ask me, it's like we took something that we were giving to you on Sundays already, and now we're upcharging it, say, I don't know, like MLB baseball, and we're going to put the women's sports on here instead.
So that's what it was, is it used to be baseball on Sunday nights, and this was going to be the first summer in a long time that ESPN said, no, thank you, not worth the cost. So baseball off the menu there. I think it's just going to be more of, I'll call it some of the more obscure college sports, whether it is, I guess depending on what, if it's earlier in the summer, baseball or softball or lacrosse. I think that's what's going to be filling in on the ESPN Plus.
I think MLB is now an add-on through ESPN Plus. So while there might not be a premier Sunday night baseball on ESPN, there will still be the League Pass of MLB available on ESPN Plus on Sundays when there are normally baseball games. So that's my only weird thing of all of this, where they've upcharged the thing that they couldn't get people to watch on Sunday, and then they just filled it in with the women's thing to make it feel like they care about women's sports. And maybe they'll get more views, and this will be happy for everybody. But if you ask me, it's like they are charging us for the baseball thing that we shouldn't have to pay for, and trying to distract us with all of this, if you ask me. So that's I didn't watch baseball. I'm probably more likely to watch the women's sports, so maybe this is going to work. But I'm not falling for it. I don't know if this is like a progressive move by ESPN. I think this is greedy, but maybe it'll get us to watch more.
I think they want you to think that it's a progressive move, but I think this is much more of a pivot of, okay, we don't have this Sunday stuff. Now what are we going to do? And so it's okay. This is our plan of attack. So, my guess is that it is not going to work, and a lot of people are going to take advantage of it and go, see, nobody wants to watch women's sports, but really it's going to be... No, but I'm not
nobody wants to watch ESPN.
They're going to take advantage of that. Nobody wants to watch... no one's going to watch sports on Sunday in the summertime, and that's probably why ESPN said, no one's watching these baseball games, so we're just going to get out of the business. Like, we're going to try to get something else, probably these, because it's mostly the WNBA and it's with women's soccer. And I think that's just the level of popularity for that is just lower than other sports. And so, yes, if you compare that Sunday night lineup to a Sunday night lineup, with football in the fall, it's not even going to look close. But if you just compare Sunday to Sunday, it's just people go out. People aren't looking to watch nearly as much TV in the summertime as they are in the wintertime.
Look, I'm all for the availability of more women's sports. This is good. That part is good. We're going to watch more of it. We're going to have more highlights. It'll be better that ESPN is more not like partnered with it now that they're premiering it. They're going to promote it. They're going to want to put it on all the other shows more often. It's a good cycle. So like I
am much more likely to watch an average or an average or random WNBA game than a average or random baseball game. I don't think I'm the average person for that, but especially Caitlin Clark is playing like that. I think that would be they're playing at 6:00 on Sunday. All right, let me make sure I got the I'm around ready to watch that.
Hard to ever give ESPN credit here. All right, let's play the outro music and get out of here. Remind everyone to subscribe. Little column A, little column B. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
March Madness around the corner. Don't have the signups quite yet, but we're working on it. The links will be out as soon as they activate it. What do you think? Next week? I think next podcast will have a link.
I'm surprised it's not activated already.
I don't think I've gotten the email. I don't really check it, but have you gotten anything?
You're right. I have not noticed an email, but I feel like each year it got like crazier and crazier, earlier and earlier, especially with the fantasy as well. That that was no longer, I'm going to call it like the kickoff to the race. It was like, well, now this is so early. Like, I'm not even thinking about this yet.
Well, we'll have our normal signups. When they're available, you'll know, and we'll announce it on the podcast. As we get out of here, what do you want to tell the people?
I am so excited that the USA won. I think we're going to be rubbing this in Canada's face for a long time.
Yeah, I'll take a victory lap on it. Should we do parades? Is that too much?
Ooh.
Look, they
Where
already
would you do it, though?
It's a huge ceremony
be...
already, right? So, like, I think the parade is really an over thing, but you're telling me this team doesn't want to come to the U.S. for like a day and just do a parade? Have it anywhere. Who's not showing up for that? How much fun would that be?
You know what? I didn't even think about that, and it doesn't even have to be just hockey specific. Maybe that would be just like a multi...
everyone, yeah.
Like multi-area of, you know, wherever you're from, you come back to like your area, and like that's where the parade is. Whoever wants to do it, I would definitely like that.
You know how I said?
I mean, a lot of the country is very cold and snowy right now, but I mean that wouldn't stop me from going to a Super Bowl parade.
I mean, they could move it around the country. It doesn't have to all be in one spot. I actually think it'd be cool if it was in like 4 spots at the same time. Like they just had 4 different parades today, just to spread everything out. That would be cool. We talked about how after the hockey game, it was like I was ready to go for more. This would have been more. I would have been all right with that. But I'm sure at this point, isn't everyone exhausted? A lot of travel. How to get back?
It's a parade. It's a celebration. It's a party.
Yeah, they're already all hungover.
They're ready to go. These are all young people. They can party some more. They got 90% left to train for next Olympics.
They're not afraid of a little danger. If anything has been accomplished in the Winter Olympics, it's that. It's that nobody's a little afraid of a little danger here. We'll be back next week. See if Duke's still number 1. See if the Celtics still giving some effort. Maybe we'll open with NBA. I don't know.
Little column A, little column B.